Yeah, talk about a humiliation ritual. So this is what Trump had said at one point, right? Open it, do what I say, blah blah blah. He spoke on Allah. He made fun of Allah, the prophet. Come on, man, you can't do that with people's religion. Now you see how Allah has worked in his people's favor. Now Allah has provided his people revenue forever through that Strait of Hormuz tax. Allah did that. Not Jesus, not Confucius, not Buddha, not Shiva, not Kali. Allah did that for his people. Don't be so quick to make fun of somebody else's religion and their deities. Okay? Because when their deities get to working on their behalf, huh? Okay. Yeah, stop making fun of people's religions, man. Allahu Akbar. Yeah. God is good. Huh? Okay. Look at this shit here. 2 million per ship. 2 million per ship. Talk about generational wealth. My God. So, the 10-point plan. This is the response to the 15-point plan. Guarantee that Iran will not be attacked again. Permanent end to the war, not just a ceasefire. End to Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Lifting all U.S. sanctions on Iran. End to all regional fighting against Iranian allies. That includes Hezbollah and the Houthis, right? Yeah. In return, Iran would open the strait. Iran would open the strait. Nobody else but Iran, right? Iran would impose a Hormuz fee of $2 million per ship. Iran would split the fees with Oman. Iran to provide rules for safe passage through Hormuz. Iran to use Hormuz fees for reconstruction instead of reparations. Hey, okay. All right. Don't play with these people's religion. Don't do that. Pay them the tax. So let's see here. New York Times reported that Iran accepted the ceasefire following a last-minute intervention by China. Shout out to my homie Xi Jinping, asking Tehran to show some flexibility. Every headline framed this as Beijing playing peacemaker. Read it again through the lens of what China actually gets from this. Okay, so let's see. Before the ceasefire, 1.22 million barrels per day of Iranian crude were flowing to Chinese teapot refineries in Shandong province via 26 Ghost Fleet tanker operators operating with transponders, dark, satellite, and yuan through CIPS. Okay, so they were paying in yuan, not American dollars. Okay. Through CIPS, which hit 928 billion renminbi in daily volume by March 9th. Those teapot refineries, roughly 250 independent plants processing 25% of China's total refining capacity, were buying Iranian crude at a discount that had flipped to a premium during the war, but still arrived cheaper than spot Brent because the Ghost Fleet avoids Western insurance, Western brokers, and Western currency. Okay, the petrodollar is on the firing line right now. So everybody wants to get rid of the petrodollar. The ceasefire does not disrupt any of that. It preserves it. Hormuz reopens for 2 weeks under Iranian, once again, military coordination. Okay, pay them the tax. This is a win for Iran. I don't see how you don't see it any other way. The Ghost Fleet continues to operate. The yuan toll infrastructure remains in place. The SIPS settlement architecture is not dismantled. The 206 million barrels of Iranian crude already stockpiled in Shandong offshore tanks are not returned. The teapot refineries that process the 80 to 90% of Iran's wartime exports continuing running at 54% utilization with no change in their supply chain. What the ceasefire removes is the risk that President Trump's power plant day would escalate the war to a level where Iranian crude exports ceased entirely. Chinese Ghost Fleet tankers were interdicted, or the conflict spilled into a regional conflagration that disrupted Chinese trade routes across the Indian Ocean. China intervened not to save Iran. China intervened to save the infrastructure it spent 2 decades building inside the crisis. Trump understood this dynamic. His ceasefire announced credited Pakistani mediation, explicitly naming Prime Minister Sharif and Field Marshal Manur while saying nothing about Beijing's role. The omission is strategic. Acknowledging Chinese pressure would position Beijing as a co-equal broker in a war that America prosecuted and America is now settling. By crediting Pakistan, Trump preserves the frame that the United States drove the outcome while using a trusted intermediary and keeps China's role invisible to the domestic audience that would interpret it as weakness. The molecule thesis clarifies what the ceasefire changes and what it does not. The ceasefire reopens the strait. It does not rebuild the crackers. The ceasefire eases oil prices. It does not restore petrochemical production. The ceasefire pauses the bombing. It does not reverse the 85% destruction of Iran's weapons and chemistry capacity that the IDF confirmed. And the ceasefire does not touch the parallel infrastructure that China built during the war. The Ghost Fleet logistics, that the Yuan toll framework, the SIP settlement volumes, or the Teapot refinery supply chains that now operate as a permanent non-dollar energy corridor between the Persian Gulf and Shandong. The war destroyed Iran's petrochemical capacity. The ceasefire preserved China's shadow energy architecture. The first outcome was the American objective. The second outcome was the Chinese objective. Both were achieved simultaneously, and the 2-week pause is the mechanism that locks both in place while Islamabad negotiates the terms of what comes next. Now, do you see? Okay. Take everything I present with a huge grain of sea salt. Okay. These are the conditions. Once again, how is this a win for the U.S.? Hey, I guess it all depends on your perspective. It's all in your perspective. So Iran is claiming victory. So, okay. Okay. The Strait of Hormuz will have a toll booth for the first time in history. The ceasefire agreement includes allowing both Iran and Oman to charge fees on ships transiting the strait. I said this 2 weeks ago. They're going to establish the tax, pay them to pay the toll. Iran will use the revenue for reconstruction. The world never paid to use its waterway before tonight. Hey, Iran went to war with the most powerful military on earth and came out of it with something no nation has ever had: a formal revenue stream for 20% of the world's oil supply passing through its waters. Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about right. Yeah, Iran came out on top. They came out on top. Pay the toll. Yes, congratulations to Iran. Yeah, they did that. The U.S. ain't looking so tough. I told y'all, people are not scared of the U.S. They're not going to just lay down because you show up. Those days are long gone. Afghanistan was a long time ago, y'all. And you beat up on the Afghanis for 20 years and still, like, those days are long gone. What good is it having the most powerful military on the planet? Yeah, but okay. These people are not afraid of all that technology. Your drones, SEAL Team 6, the Delta Force. They're not scared of these guys. They're not scared of what your country can do. Everybody's got nukes or got a buddy that has a nuke. What's your point? Now, if they agree to let them enrich in uranium, then all of this was for naught. So for the last 6 months, Bibi told y'all and us, Iran must not have any nuclear capabilities. Well, okay. So you just agreed to them. You know what? I'm here for the entertainment. I wanted to see boots on the ground. I wanted to see shit go left. I wanted to see shit go left for America, because that's the only way Americans learn when they lose or things don't go their way. That's the only way Americans learn, is getting when they get punched back in the mouth. Yeah? Okay. Let's go here. Fox, it's funny because I'm at the gym. Fox has one story. CNN, completely opposite story. It's insane. And Iran still firing missiles. I'm here for it.
What, are we going to just leave them there? There's nothing that we can do, and we're going to wash our hands over that. That to me is morally very difficult to accept. And then what about the proxies, Hezbollah? I was reading these statements. Hezbollah has killed more Americans than Iran directly. Hezbollah is Iran. Hezbollah is firing missiles into Israel by the hundreds still. And here we have a ceasefire that they've already broken. And so, yes, the argument will be, well, they don't have control of this and control of that. Well, if they don't have control of this and control of that, how do we even enter into an agreement? There's a lot of complicated issues.
I'm here for it. Everybody's crashing out. Okay. Yeah, I believe Israel will not hold for 2 weeks. I agree with Joe Kent. Let's go.
Great news this evening that there's been a 2-week ceasefire agreed upon tentatively between us and the Iranians. It's unconfirmed yet if the Iranians have accepted this deal as well, but I hope that they have. It's absolutely essential that we ensure that the Israelis do not sabotage this 2-week ceasefire or eventually the lasting peace that we're trying to achieve with the Iranians. We're on the cusp of being able to have the Strait of Hormuz reopened to hopefully start to get the world energy supply and commerce back online. The last thing we need is the Israelis doing what they have done in past negotiations and targeting the negotiators.
Yeah, it's breaking the agreement. Yeah, that's what Israel is known for. There's no way Bibi is happy with this agreement of a ceasefire. Bibi wants complete annihilation of Iran. And he can only achieve that through the U.S. being the attack dog, the pit bull, the German shepherd, the Kangal, the bull mastiff, the Dojo Argentino, whatever whatever breed of dog that the U.S. is for Israel at this point.
We're taking a series of strikes that escalates the conflict. In order to ensure that we can restrain the Israelis, we actually have to start removing features of the military support that we give to them. We have to take away enough from them that they simply cannot go on the offense, that they're using all their military capabilities that we provide for them and that they have organically for the defense of their country and not for offensive operations.
Okay. I'm here for it, man. Iran's still doing a thing. Yeah, talk about a humiliation ritual. So this is what Trump had said at one point, right? Open it, do what I say, blah blah blah. He spoke on Allah. He made fun of Allah, the prophet. Come on, man, you can't do that with people's religion. Now you see how Allah has worked in his people's favor. Now Allah has provided his people revenue forever through that Strait of Hormuz tax. Allah did that. Not Jesus, not Confucius, not Buddha, not Shiva, not Kali. Allah did that for his people. Don't be so quick to make fun of somebody else's religion and their deities. Okay? Because when their deities get to working on their behalf, huh? Okay. Yeah, stop making fun of people's religions, man. Allahu Akbar. Yeah. God is good. Huh? Okay. Look at this shit here. $2 million per ship. $2 million per ship. Talk about generational wealth. My God. So, the 10-point plan. This is the response to the 15-point plan. Guarantee that Iran will not be attacked again. Permanent end to the war, not just a ceasefire. End to Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Lifting all U.S. sanctions on Iran. End to all regional fighting against Iranian allies. That includes Hezbollah and the Houthis, right? Yeah. In return, Iran would open the strait. Nobody else but Iran, right? Iran would impose a Hormuz fee of $2 million per ship. Iran would split the fees with Oman. Iran to provide rules for safe passage through Hormuz. Iran to use Hormuz fees for reconstruction instead of reparations. Hey, okay. All right. Don't play with these people's religion. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look at this shit here. These people losing their damn minds, y'all. These white folk losing their minds. These white folk losing their minds. Hey, shout to them Arabs, man.
Immediately obvious what the Iranians have agreed to here. Trump has agreed to not wipe them off the face of the earth. What is it the Iranians have agreed to?
So I'm just listening in, actually, to the BBC, who've last filed over 5 minutes ago and are still not talking about the fact that there is any kind of ceasefire whatsoever. So congratulations
really?
to
there you go.
For actually getting
For a second, I thought you were about to report live on what the BBC were reporting. and I nearly lost it.
Reporting live on what the BBC are not reporting. They are still reporting that Pakistan is proposing a ceasefire as the deadline is looming. Well, we are way ahead here on GB News, where we've actually, like you've said, broken the more relevant news, which is...
It's not immediately obvious what...
Okay. These white folk losing their minds. I'm here for it. So, yeah, hopefully the gas prices come down by at least $1. By at least $1. Because this summer is going to be hella, it's going to be hell for me. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Hormuz tax. Let's go. Hormuz tax. Run them coins. Run it.
News, Iran's foreign minister just responding to Trump's ceasefire announcement. I want to read part of it to you. He says, if attacks against Iran are halted, our powerful armed forces will cease their defensive operations.
Skip this. We already read this.
We do consider that I have here, and I'll just share you a couple of the important lines here. One of them is that the regulated passage through the Strait of Hormuz under the coordination of the armed forces of Iran, thereby conferring upon Iran a unique economic and geopolitical standing, which sounds like, in a translation, Iran saying that they see this as acknowledgement that they control the Strait of Hormuz. Let's go to Zachary Cohen, our national security reporter here. Zachary, what are you learning about this? We're just getting these dual statements, one from Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and also from the Supreme National Security Council that I just shared part of. What else stands out to you here?
Yeah, Aaron, the piece of this about the Strait of Hormuz really is the most remarkable thing, I think, that jumps out immediately and says Pakistan has submitted the same to the American side. Said plan emphasizes fundamental matters, inter alia, the regulated passage to the Strait of Hormuz under the coordination of the armed forces of Iran, thereby conferring upon Iran a unique economic and geopolitical standing. So effectively that's reiterated in the tweet as well, saying that at least for the period of 2 weeks, the Strait of Hormuz will be open effectively, though with coordination via the Iranian military. And it's important for people to remember that the Strait of Hormuz was not controlled in a literal sense by Iran prior to those U.S. Israeli joint military strikes that kicked off this entire conflict several weeks ago. Iran responded to those strikes by closing the Strait of Hormuz, and it appears that this ceasefire is predicated at least in part on the legitimization of Iran's control of that key waterway, and that goes with an implication.
Once again, 2 words: Iran's control. Hormuz tax. US L. Iran W. It's just that simple. Okay? It's just that simple.
Of if the waterway can be opened temporarily, Iran likely could reclose the strait should negotiations not progress in a way that they see fit effectively. So it also says that talks between the U.S. and Iran should occur as soon as this week. In Islamabad, Pakistan has been acting as the... Now,
I'm sure Netanyahu is fuming right now because this is not what he wanted. He wanted complete escalation, annihilation. He wanted a full-scale war with at the behest of a U.S. attack dog. Okay, so I would not be surprised if Israel breaks this ceasefire and Iran closes the strait again. Netanyahu's done this before. He's broken ceasefires before with his neighbors. Okay, yeah. Hey man, shout out to Iran, man. Hey, Django, niggas was talking hella reckless in the Discord. You remember a few months back? Oh man, America. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. When they smacked around Iraq, and I was like, okay, Iran is not Iraq. Iran's not Afghanistan. They're not Kuwait. American hubris, man. This is why we're called ugly Americans all around the world. This is why we're known as the ugly Americans all around the globe. Okay. Yeah. Talking. It's quiet as hell now, ain't it though? He quiet as fuck.
Key primary intermediary country between the U.S. and Iranian regimes. A lot to hammer out here, but the Iranian statement does seem to suggest that, in principle at least, the Trump administration has agreed to the broad contours of their 10-point proposal, at least as a starting point for these negotiations. And again, it's hard to overemphasize how
this man threatened to wipe out an entire civilization, only to come around to capitulate to the idea of them being able to enrich uranium on top of a Hormuz tax. How do we go from that to this? It's beyond me. Listen. And they still firing
missiles. Yeah, we just
missiles.
saw multiple incoming. One of them screamed over our...
Oh, shit.
And that would be either the detonation of an interceptor missile or a successful interception of an Iranian missile. We saw one of those with the secondary boosters, and they're really terrifying because they're firing the propellant of the missile itself, trying to scream faster, more than 1,000 miles an hour as it's re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. It'll fire that secondary booster, trying to evade the interceptor missiles and hit a target on the ground. That one, as it was firing its secondary booster, we saw 2 interceptors tracing for it, and then it went out over the Mediterranean, over the water there. So it missed, and that's obviously a good sign. We have some deep rumbles from a couple other explosions here. I've just got from the IDF. I was able to text just now. I'm curious because we had about 20 minutes ago had alerts in the south and had been told that that was potentially from the Houthis in Yemen, that missile in southern Israel was not from Iran. This latest attack on Tel Aviv in central Israel, I'm told by the IDF, was in fact fired by Iran. And the biggest questions here we have is the reaction from the Israeli side, Jerusalem, how they will interpret a ceasefire, because they were not there as far as we know.
Once again, this is going to be for the record books, military-wise, college courses, asymmetrical war. Okay? You never really heard of the term until this. It's been used before. Vietnam did it. Part of the Iwo Jima, part of Korea, the Korean War is bits and parts of a. But yeah, the Vietnam War was a prime example of asymmetrical war. Just get them to spend more to deal with you. Same thing here. This is going to be in the history books. Master class of how to deal with a superpower. And we don't have to hit you blow for blow. We just have to do the things that's going to make it hurt for you financially. For you to eradicate us, it's going to cost you and your people don't want to spend money to eradicate us. It ain't worth it. Okay, who wants to spend $5 a gallon of gas to eradicate Iranians, to make sure they don't have nuclear enrichment, to which you later agreed to in part of a 10-point plan? I'm here for it, man. Shout out to Iran, man. They did that.
They did not have any kind of direct contact with the Pakistani negotiating team that was doing the intermediary for negotiating with the Iranians and the U.S. Is the Israeli side, are they fully party to the ceasefire? The Iranians have been hitting really hard that they would only accept a deal if the deal included a cessation of the war in Lebanon against what they call the resistance. We would call the terror group Hezbollah. The Iranians saying that they would only agree to a deal if that was included.
Bill Gates to appear in House Epstein probe. Good Lord.
The Israelis are entrenched with tens of thousands of soldiers right now in southern Lebanon, engaged in a ground battle with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. So I'm really curious to see, as it's Passover, it's 3:30 in the morning here. We're not getting official reaction from our sources in Jerusalem. Everybody's asleep, although probably everybody's awake now with that latest alarm. So maybe they will check their phones and get back to us. But right now, I just don't know if Israel is fully party to this ceasefire, as we have some additional attacks coming in southern Israel now from what appears to be another ballistic missile. And the question will be just the same as what I outlined a moment ago. Is this the Houthis in Yemen who decided to fire a couple off today, or once again, is this Iran?
Zach, we appreciate the update. I'm just following along right now. Nothing new from Donald Trump on Truth Social, although the Iran foreign minister did put out a statement. And this is the first time we've seen an official statement from Iran since the war began. And he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but if the attacks against Iran are halted for a 2-week period, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be possible via coordination with Iran's armed forces. And it seems like this ceasefire is on, although perhaps not. We will continue to keep an eye on the situation in Tel Aviv. Again, it's after 3 in the...
Nah. Hey, Young Jay, I want all those as you should be. You always should be for your country. But I want all those pro-American military pundits. Yo, it was so many of y'all, not you, but all these guys talking all this big, tough shit. Oh, man, we in America, man. Okay, Okay. So now... you're going to go back, lick your wounds, probably go pick on Cuba. right? Because I'm still waiting on this war with the cartels. What happened to the war with the cartels? Okay. So yeah, you're going to go back, lick your wounds, and do another deflection, diversion, and go pick on Cuba. Who else is left for the U.S. to pick on at this point? Because now that the world powers are just like, ugh, these guys. You know how embarrassing it's going to be for you as an American to travel? Can you imagine how embarrassing it's going to be for you as an American traveling overseas, especially in Europe, into the Middle East? They're going to look at you like, fucking Americans.
In the morning there. Stay safe, Zach Anders. Thank you for that update. That message that you're hearing, by the way.
Now that Greenland is a dead issue. That's dead. Canada's dead. Greenland's dead. Like, listen, everybody has seen the U.S. tuck their tails. That's basically it. Okay, America is the big buff guy that can't fight without weapons. Everybody done seen. America got punked on the world stage. I told you guys, nobody's afraid of America like that. Those days are over. Nobody's laying down because you show up. Those days are over. Iran just gave everybody the blueprint on how to deal with superpower if you're a non-superpower country. Asymmetrical war. Masterclass will be studied long for years to come, how they did this to America.
We can take me back on full screen, Zach. Thank you. That message that you're hearing, that is the update that comes through Zach Anders' cell phone when he's being warned to everyone. It's a mass text that goes out, and it's basically alerting you to go into a bunker and find safety. So we've heard that sound before. I think Zach was using his cell phone there. Again, it's 3 in the morning. So we wish Zach safety, and we will check back in with him if necessary.
Wow. Okay. This is y'all's guy. This guy says, so now that Iran just caved and agreed to not only, so how did they cave if they're going to, you know what? It's all good. It's all good. Let's see the spin.
I mean, Pakistan's stock is up, I suppose. That's quite impressive. No one really thought anyone could talk him down, let alone Pakistan, so that's reasonably interesting.
Any good words for Trump as he's agreed to this ceasefire for 2 weeks?
I'm glad that he's agreed to the ceasefire for the Iranian civilians and hopefully for the millions of working class people across the world whose oil won't be surging. I think it's good. Yes. I hope it's
seen what he's got out of this deal, right? This is the key thing. So at the moment, what we'll get, he says this is a double-sided ceasefire. Now, my take on that is that the Iranians
can't bomb.
Must be agreeing to something. Yeah.
I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. Yeah, Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. Perfect. Perfectly said. Look at this. America watching Iran and Yemen send missiles over to Israel. Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen. Oh my God. What a time to be alive. Okay, let's go here. Do you understand why Qatar just shut down every school in the country? Not after the ceasefire, minutes before it. Qatar hosts Al Udeid, the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East. 10,000 American troops, the same base coordinating every strike on Iran tonight. If that ceasefire call failed, Qatar was next. Iran has said it publicly. Any country hosting U.S. bases is a target. Yeah, I agree. You don't have to go after America themselves. Go after their allies. Yes. So not only, the two main takeaways from all of this ceasefire is Strait of Hormuz tax, $2 million per ship, and Iran gets to enrich uranium. So for 40 years, I've grown up listening to how dangerous or catastrophic it would be for the entire world for Iran to have nuclear weapons. For 40 years, I'm 50. I grew up hearing this shit for 40 years. Only to circle back 40 years later to say, okay, you can enrich uranium. So never mind North Korea having nukes, Pakistan having nukes, Israel having nukes. No. God forbid you let Iran have nukes. Okay. 40 years, y'all. 4 decades of hearing Iran cannot have nukes. Every president I've heard in my life has said Iran can never have nukes. I think we're done. I think we're done. I think we're done. I think we're done. Yeah, Iran's still launching. I'm here for it, man. Look at this shit here. Bruh. Okay. So this was the deal that Obama had. This is interesting. So let's take a look here. So under Obama, Strait of Hormuz open for free. Iran limits uranium enrichment. Iran agrees to make no nuclear weapons. Iran allows international inspectors to ensure compliance. Inspectors confirm Iran's full compliance. Under Trump, Strait of Hormuz closed, only open for 2 million per ship. Iran makes no guarantee of limit on uranium enrichment. Iran makes no guarantee of no nuclear weapons. Iran makes no guarantee to allow international inspectors. MAGA, Trump playing 5D chess, art of the deal. Yeah.